Inflation. It's a word we hear often, especially in today's economy. But what does it really mean? Simply put, inflation is a general increase in prices over time. When prices go up, your money buys less. Imagine you have $10 to spend at the store. Last year, you could buy 10 apples with that amount. This year, those same 10 apples might cost you $12. Your $10 doesn't stretch as far as it used to. That's the essence of inflation, a decrease in the purchasing power of money. Inflation doesn't just exist in economic textbooks, it has tangible effects on our everyday lives. From the price of groceries to the cost of housing, inflation slowly but surely chips away at our budgets, making it harder to make ends meet. Imagine going to the grocery store and noticing that your usual loaf of bread now costs $1 more. That might not seem like much, but these small increases add up over time, especially for essential items like food, gas, and utilities. As prices rise, our paychecks don't always keep pace, putting a strain on household budgets. The impact of inflation extends beyond our wallets. It can create uncertainty about the future, making businesses hesitant to invest and consumers cautious about spending. This can ultimately slow down economic growth. For individuals living on fixed incomes, such as retirees, inflation can be particularly challenging as their purchasing power diminishes over time. Understanding the causes of inflation is crucial. Inflation is often described as too much money chasing too few goods. When the money supply increases faster than goods and services, prices rise. Several factors contribute to inflation. Demand pull inflation happens when demand outstrips supply. This occurs during economic growth when consumers spend more. Cost push inflation happens when production costs rise. Factors include rising wages, energy costs, or supply chain issues. Government policies can also influence inflation. Printing too much money increases the money supply, leading to inflation. Section 4. Taming the Beast: Strategies to Combat Inflation. Addressing inflation requires a multifaceted approach that involves both monetary and fiscal policies. Central banks, like the Federal Reserve in the United States, play a key role in controlling inflation by managing the money supply and setting interest rates. One of the primary tools used by central banks to combat inflation is raising interest rates. When interest rates are higher, it becomes more expensive for businesses and consumers to borrow money, which can help to cool down the economy and reduce inflationary pressures. Another strategy is to reduce the money supply, which can be achieved through measures like selling government bonds. Fiscal policy, which refers to government spending and taxation, can also be used to influence inflation. Governments can try to curb inflation by reducing spending or increasing taxes, which can help to reduce aggregate demand in the economy. However, these measures can also have negative consequences, such as slowing down economic growth. Section 5. The Balancing Act: Government's Role in Inflation Control. Governments face a delicate balancing act when it comes to inflation. On one hand, they need to keep inflation in check to ensure economic stability. On the other hand, they also want to promote economic growth and employment. Finding the right balance is crucial. One way governments can contribute to price stability is by implementing responsible fiscal policies. This means avoiding excessive government spending and managing the national debt. Additionally, governments can promote competition in the marketplace, which can help to keep prices down. Another important role for governments is to provide a social safety net for those most vulnerable to inflation, such as low-income households and retirees. This can include programs like Social Security and food assistance, which can help to mitigate the negative impacts of rising prices. Section 6. Inflation, a collective challenge. Inflation is not just an economic phenomenon, it's a societal challenge that requires a collective response. From policymakers to businesses to individuals, we all have a role to play in understanding and managing inflation. By staying informed about economic conditions, making informed financial decisions, and advocating for sound economic policies, we can collectively navigate the challenges posed by inflation and strive for a more stable and prosperous future. Remember, inflation is a complex issue with no easy solutions. It requires ongoing attention and a willingness to adapt to changing economic circumstances. By working together, we can mitigate the negative impacts of inflation and create a more equitable and sustainable economy for all.